So what is going on, guys? Sorry for not having a shirt on. I figured I'd rather teach you on my walk how to overcome one of the hardest objections when you're selling life insurance. And it's this BS objection that most life insurance agents fail out. And if you can learn to do this, I promise you'll beat most life insurance agents. And it's this BS objection that call me tomorrow or call me later in the week and I can make a decision. And I want to teach you guys how to overcome this with the simple framework. 3 simple things that if you do this, I promise you'll overcome these BS objections. So first thing is you always have to acknowledge what the objection is. So when you are getting these objections like, hey, can you call me tomorrow? The first step when it comes to objection overcoming is first agreeing with them. So what that sounds like is, yeah, I totally understand. I need you to call me tomorrow. The second step is breaking down that objection. When you get an objection such as call me tomorrow, I want you to understand that the prospect has some type of concern. So objection equals concern, that they're scared of something, they're fearful, and that's all you have to solve for. Understand what are they concerned about, what are they scared of, so that you can solve for that objection. Because let's be real, when it comes to objection handling, if someone is scared to make a decision today, do you think they're scared of making a decision tomorrow? The answer is probably yes. Do you think that if they don't make a decision today, that they'll feel more confident making a decision in 5 days? The answer is probably no, because they're missing something. There's something that's going on in their mind where they're scared of, where they need an extra day to think about it because they want to look at their budget, or they need tomorrow to speak to the wife, or they need a week to review their finances. But the thing is, all you have to help them understand is that they're in their own way, and you have to overcome that by understanding how to isolate the objection. So step 2, after you acknowledge it, is isolate the objection. So what you do is you're going to sound like, okay, totally understand, you need to think about it, I'll call you tomorrow just to go through it. But just curious, I know that you want to go through it tomorrow. What specifically is going to change from today until tomorrow that's going to help you make a decision to make sure that your family is taken care of? What's going to change? And they're going to say what their true objection is, which is, I need to speak to my wife, or I need to make sure that my budget allows for it, or I'm waiting for this check to arrive, or I want to look up the company. Whatever that is, you have to address that. So then you isolate what your objection is. So once you ask what's going to change from now until tomorrow, you understand what the real concern is. Then what you do is you have to solve for that concern. And what that sounds like is well, I need to make sure that from now until tomorrow, that my budget is going to allow for it. So then what you do, step 3, is you isolate and then you attack, okay? So it sounds like to me that it's not so much the time that you're worried about, it's more about making sure that you have the information to solve this problem. Because it's not that you don't want this life insurance, it's more that you're scared about getting the life insurance today and not having all the information. Is that right? Yeah, okay. So what information do you need that you can look at right now that will help you from putting this decision off and help you feel more confident in moving forward with this life insurance? Well, I got to look at my budget. Well, what specifically do you need to see in your budget that's going to help you make a decision for this? And you can keep overcoming about what is that variable. But the thing I need you to understand when it comes to I need to do this later, or hey, let's do this tomorrow, or let's do this by the end of the week, is that most people are procrastinators. Most people aren't going to do the thing that they told you that they wanted to do, and they're just trying to get you off the phone. So what that means is that you must not agree and set the appointment. That is the worst thing that you can do when you're selling life insurance over the phone, is agree and overcome that and then set the appointment. We've been selling life insurance for over 2.5 years now, and what we found is that our average appointment to show rate is less than 3%, meaning that if I set this appointment, I have a 3% likelihood of this person showing up. But instead, what I must do is attack the objection. So from now until tomorrow, what's going to change? What specifically do you need to go through? And then you're trying to solve for that. So if they say, well, hey, I just want to make sure my wife is on the same page. Do I actually have I need to think about it for 3 days, or do I have a wife objection? Well, you have a wife objection. So what you have to do is you break down that wife objection. So when you say that you need to speak to your wife in the next 2 to 3 days, what do you specifically need to go through with your wife so that she's on the same page with you? Well, I want to make sure that she agrees with this. So again, logically speaking, I want you guys to understand this, that I need to look out 3 days is not a push things out is I need information. So you want to dive deeper in objection handling. You want to get to the root of objection handling. You want to get to the overall just baseline of what that real objection is. It's not a real objection. So when they say, I need to speak to my wife, I want to make sure she's on the same page, then you ask, well, hypothetically, have you spoke to your wife about this before? Yes, you have. Has she agreed to you and told you in the past that you probably need life insurance? Yeah, she has. So between me and you, John, do you actually feel that giving yourself 3 days is going to help give you the confidence to make the decision? Or are you just scared? Or you just more importantly, just want her validation? Okay, and when it comes to her validation, you guys talked about this. And if she tells you to do this, would you do it? Okay, so how about we do this? Instead of setting this out 3 days, you already told me that you spoke to her about this in the past, that she would probably agree with you. So let's get something in place now, so then you can speak to her in 3 days. And if she tells you to increase it later down the road, you can do that. But right now, let's make sure your family's taken care of. Does that sound fair? So, simple framework to break this down is don't schedule appointments. They're BS, waste of time. Acknowledge and understand what the objection is. Okay, I totally understand that you need to think about it. Acknowledge, isolate it. When you say that you need 2 to 3 days or 5 days or a month to go through this, what specifically do you need to make the decision from now until a month? Okay, so you need to make sure it fits the budget. Okay, what information? And then you dive deeper. What information will you look at that will help make sure that it fits the budget? You find out what the variable is, and then you go ahead and make a suggestion. So how about we do this? Let's do X, Y, and Z, because then it's going to give you all the information that you need, and then we can always increase it later down the road. Does that sound fair? And then you can make a suggestion that actually solves the problem instead of just saying, oh yeah, let's set the appointment, and you never touch back. So my last message to you is that next time someone tells you, give me some time to think about it, it's complete BS. They're scared, they have a concern. Now it's your job to solve that concern. You must ask questions, dive deeper, get the information, solve for that information, and then make a suggestion, and keep moving forward until they hang up on you. And then you loop this. I'll end with this last little tidbit is now with objection handling, you have to loop it over and over and over again, okay? So if they say, well, you know, that sounds good and all, Peter, but I still need to think about it. Can you give me next week? Well, you take them through the process again. Well, John, I'll give you to next week. What do you want to go through? Well, I just got to make sure that, you know, my daughter's on the same page. BS objection. Okay, what do you want to make sure your daughter's on the same page with? I want to make sure that she agrees with this. Okay, what information do you think that she needs or you need to make sure that she agrees with it? I want to make sure she says yes. Okay, and if she says no, what would you do? I'd still do it. So no matter what your daughter says, you still want to make a decision to make sure your family's taken care of, right, John? Okay, so how about we do this? Let's start with something small. Make sure your family's taken care of. Get something in place. And if you go to your daughter and you're like, hey, daughter, I got a life insurance policy to make sure you're not screwed with my life insurance, burial expenses, and she tells you no, you call me and we'll go a different route. But let's make sure your family's taken care of. Does that sound fair? And if they say no, you take them through the whole process over and over and over again. So the next time you get, I need to schedule this out, or call me in a few days. BS, go for the hang up, loop them 3 times, and find out what the objection is, and push your client across the finish line because they're scared. Cheers.